Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves today. We are stepping into a case that feels almost too dark to be real. A tragedy where the sacred bond between sisters wasn't just broken, but entirely consumed by obsession, jealousy, and the desperate manipulation of the unseen world. It forces us to ask how well we truly know the people sleeping under the same roof, and what happens when envy completely rots a person's soul from the inside out. This is the harrowing story of the Rahman family. Growing up in a tight-knit community, sisters Alisha and Farah Rahman were completely inseparable. Alisha, the eldest by 2 years, was always considered the protector, the calm, deeply empathetic sister who wanted nothing more than a peaceful family life. In 2021, Alisha married a charismatic, ambitious local businessman named Tariq, and before long, the couple welcomed a beautiful baby boy into their lives. They built a home that seemed filled with love, security, and promise. But as Alisha flourished in her new role as a wife and mother, a quiet, toxic resentment was brewing in the margins of her own home. Her younger sister, Farah, had moved into the guest room to help out with the newborn. Farah looked at Alisha's life, the loving husband, the beautiful child, the financial security, and instead of feeling joy, she felt a burning, agonizing jealousy. She didn't just want a life like Alisha's. She wanted Alisha's life. Specifically, she wanted Tariq. And as the hot summer months rolled in, Farah's infatuation with her brother-in-law mutated into a dangerous, lethal obsession. Farah knew that Tariq was completely devoted to Alisha, so she decided to turn to desperate, unconventional methods to drive a wedge between the married couple. She began secretly practicing seer, black magic, and love spells, convinced she could alter Tariq's mind and force him to fall in love with her. Farah spent hundreds of dollars consulting local occult practitioners in secret web forums, purchasing ritual oils, herbs, and written curses. Her search history was filled with terrifying queries: how to make a husband hate his wife, how to separate a mother from her child, and love bindings that could not be broken. She would wait until the entire house was asleep before lighting candles in her bedroom, chanting over photographs of Tariq and meticulously sewing curses into the linings of Alisha's clothes. But Farah didn't just rely on the spiritual world. She used active, predatory manipulation in the physical world. She began carefully grooming Tariq when Alisha was out of the room, dressing provocatively, cooking his favorite meals, and offering him a sympathetic ear whenever he expressed work stress. Tariq, a man who carried his own hidden flaws, didn't push Farah away. Instead of maintaining boundaries as a brother-in-law, he leaned into the attention, indulging in a dangerous, flirtatious dynamic that fueled Farah's delusion that they were destined to be together. By October 2024, the tension inside the house reached an absolute breaking point. Alisha discovered a collection of strange, ritualistic items hidden beneath Farah's mattress, paired with a diary detailing Farah's intense romantic delusions about Tariq. Horrified and heartbroken, Alisha confronted her sister, demanding that Farah pack her bags and leave the house immediately. For Farah, the thought of being banished from Tariq's presence blew her fragile grip on reality completely apart. If she couldn't have him, she would eliminate the only obstacle standing in her way. On the night of October 14th, while the rest of the neighborhood was wrapped in silence, Farah slipped out of her bedroom and walked into the kitchen. She grabbed a heavy, 8-inch chef's knife from the counter. Moving like a ghost, she crept into the master bedroom where Alisha was sleeping soundly. What followed was a brutal, merciless bloodbath. Farah lunged at her elder sister, stabbing Alisha repeatedly in a manic, envious frenzy. Alisha woke up screaming, desperately fighting for her life and sustaining severe defensive wounds on her hands. But Farah was relentless, striking her a total of 14 times. Tariq woke up to the pure horror unfolding beside him, frantically wrestling the blade away from Farah, but it was far too late. Alisha collapsed onto the floor, her life slipping away before emergency responders could even reach the property. The community was left entirely paralyzed by shock. A sister had slaughtered her own flesh and blood over a husband. Farah was immediately arrested at the scene, her clothes completely soaked in her sister's blood. During her lengthy trial, the defense attempted to argue that she was suffering from an acute psychological break, fueled by her extreme obsession with the occult. But the prosecution painted a far more calculated picture. They brought forth her digital footprint, the black magic receipts, and the diary entries proving that the murder was a premeditated, ruthlessly planned execution designed to usurp her sister's place in the household. Farah was ultimately found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. But as Farah was led away to her prison cell, the public's attention turned sharply toward the man at the very center of this tragedy, Tariq. Throughout the investigation, text messages revealed that Tariq hadn't been an innocent bystander. He had actively played along with Farah's infatuation, feeding her delusions with late-night messages and empty promises while his wife slept in the next room. He was the catalyst for the explosion. Yet, legally, he couldn't be charged with the murder. And what this love rat did next left the grieving Rahman family in absolute disgust. Barely 6 months after Alisha was laid to rest, and while her own sister was settling into a maximum security prison, Tariq completely washed his hands of the tragedy. He put the family home up for sale, liquidated his local business assets, and quietly moved to a different city across the country. Before long, family members discovered through social media that Tariq had already entered a glamorous new relationship, completely moving on from the devastation he helped cultivate. He left the grief, the blood, and the memory of Alisha behind, choosing to live his life in absolute comfort while a child grew up without a mother. The story of the Rahman family serves as a profoundly dark, cautionary tale about the sheer destructive power of envy and hidden betrayal. Farah Rahman destroyed her entire family for a prize that was never hers to keep, while the man who fed the flames walked away completely untouched by the law. It leaves us with a heavy, haunting realization that sometimes the true villains of story don't wear masks or leave behind fingerprints. They simply walk away into the crowd, leaving others to carry the weight of the ruin. I want to know what you guys think about this tragic case. How do we hold people like Tariq morally accountable when the law can't touch them? Let's talk about it down in the comments below, and please keep the discussion deeply respectful of Alisha's memory. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Bye.